There's no way he was going to go back in the game. The injury precluded it. During the game, you really just you're playing the next series as a coach, but there was no way he could go back in the game. I know Lamar. The way I know Lamar, if he could have gone in the game, he would have been in the game. That's how he is. So, but I can assure you that he would not have been able to go back in the game under any circumstance.
Different tune from John Harbaugh the day after the loss to the Kansas City Chiefs, because when he was asked about whether or not Lamar could have returned to the game, was he removed because it was 30-13 in the third quarter, he wouldn't comment. This is a sore subject for the Ravens because my memory isn't as good as it used to be, but I do remember this, Devin. I remember a couple of seasons before Lamar Jackson got his contract where there was an overriding question: can he play despite that injury? Can he play? And my position is always, until you get the contract, the security you want, if you're anything less than 100%, don't play. And I feel like, and I didn't really think of this until I just processed what John Harbaugh said, I feel like we may be creeping back there. We've already heard that they're trying to extend a contract that runs through the 2027 season. There was the stuff that came out this summer about the collusion case, and I don't think he was very happy that some of the details came out. I don't know whether or not the Ravens fully explained to him how that came to be, that, because he's very private. He wanted none of his contract details to ever be disclosed. He gets very upset when any of the things about negotiations come out. I just wonder if we're inching back toward that point where they finally did get a deal done. And are we in a spot where, because I'm told he felt a grab. It's not some fake injury, but does he feel sufficiently compelled to risk greater injury by coming back before he's ready? That's really the question. And with a hamstring, whenever you think it's ready, it's still not.
Yeah, and that was my concern. Like when you said, I didn't even think about a contract or any of that, but I'm like, for a guy like him and the athleticism that he has, and how he can be standing in the pocket and be still, and one guy comes, he makes a quick move and he's gone. Like that is where you need your hamstrings the most. And he does that probably more than, a lot of different quarterbacks. I think of Justin Fields, might be somebody that does that just as much, but like, he's always looking like when he steps up in the pocket and there's an open gap, it's like he's shot out of a cannon sometimes, taking off. And when you have a hamstring, like you feel that instantly. So even Jackson Dart, when they said his hamstring and he came back in the game, I'm always weary because when you come back and you play through a hamstring, all you're doing is waiting until you pull it. Like usually when you have a hamstring, if you're a guy that has to hit full speed, you're eventually going to pull it. So the thought of anybody with a hamstring, like an athlete like Lamar Jackson, is, hey, does it benefit us giving them 2 or 3 weeks off so that we don't have to actually deal with the pulled hamstring? And if that's the case for this Baltimore team, like I don't know how they overcome being out there without Lamar Jackson for a few weeks. Like I don't know what that looks like for this team. They're already dealing with a bunch of different injuries that I know we'll get into, but like that's just a tough break for them coming off a game where they really didn't show up to play at all against Kansas City.
It looks like Cooper Rush. That's what it looks like. And nothing against Cooper Rush, but you need a backup whose skill set simulates.
Yep.
It's not going to duplicate. It's not going to be as good, but it's still the same kind of things. So you don't have two different playbooks. You got one playbook because you got 10 other people on offense to think about. And if the quarterback who comes in is operating off of pages of the playbook that the starter doesn't utilize, that makes it harder for the other 10 guys. That's the problem. And, Devin, this is why Shedeur Sanders should have said yes when the Ravens called. No one can see the future. He made a decision that he thought was right for him. He thought he could go to Cleveland and compete with Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, and Dylan Gabriel and get onto the field faster than if he goes to Baltimore and gets stuck behind Lamar Jackson. Or Philly. Dion has since acknowledged that Philly was in the conversation too. Get stuck behind Jalen Hurts. But you got to factor in the possibility the guy's going to get injured. Lamar Jackson gets injured, and boom, you get to play. And the expectations on you are lower in that setting. You get a chance to come in and play without, oh, here we go. It's, hey, Lamar's hurt. We're going to turn to Shedeur Sanders. Let's see what he can do. We don't have the same high expectations we'd have if he's earned the starting job. So that was really a mistake. And hopefully quarterbacks in the future who are in a position to maybe send messages and inclined to say, I want to go here, I don't want to go here, you need to think a little more broadly about what can happen, because there's a chance Shedeur Sanders would be starting this week for the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, and I think outside of that, like I look at Jimmy Garoppolo, and Jimmy Garoppolo sat behind Tom Brady, and not to say his career turned out to be, but like he did what everybody wants to do. He went to San Fran, he became a starter, he started in the Super Bowl, got a huge contract, and that was because he learned how to play the quarterback position at a high level. So I look at Cleveland Browns, and this is no knock on Kevin Stefanski, because I think Stefanski's been an awesome coach, but the Browns have just chewed up quarterbacks and spit them out. So like you look, if you get to be behind these elite quarterbacks and learn from them, even if you don't play right away and you never play for that actual franchise and become the starter there, but it leads to you possibly starting 3 or 4 games as a rookie, then maybe 2 or 3 more games the next year, and then somebody's sitting there like, hey, we need to trade to get that guy here. I think that's a great way to go if you can get that as a possibility. And again, this might all work out in Cleveland. Maybe Dylan Gabriel gets to start soon, and then he comes in and his career goes on to be awesome. But I just think if you have the opportunity to sit behind somebody and learn how to play quarterback, i.e. Patrick Mahomes sitting behind Alex Smith, whatever people think of Alex Smith, a true pro, a guy that had been in the playoffs. You look at Jordan Love sitting behind Aaron, like you get a chance to be and develop at the quarterback position. We've seen talented quarterbacks who now getting second tries because they're in the right situation, like Baker Mayfield. I asked him about it. Being in Carolina, you and Sam Darnold, he was like, yeah, you need to be with the right people if you want to be good. And I just hope for Shedeur works out in Cleveland, but it just seems like these other places would have been a great fit to go out there and learn how to play quarterback.
Other injuries for the Baltimore Ravens: Nnamdi Madubuike, 2-time Pro Bowler, placed on season-ending injured reserve. At first, he was missing time. Then on Saturday, he's placed on IR. John Harbaugh made it clear yesterday he will not be back due to a neck injury. That is a big blow for the Ravens and for Madubuike, who anytime you start having neck issues, you never know what that's going to mean for your career. Roquan Smith, star linebacker, will miss several weeks with a hamstring injury. It's a grade 2 hamstring strain that happened in the second quarter of Sunday's game against the Chiefs. And cornerback Marlon Humphrey is expected to miss several weeks with a calf injury. He was a first-team All-Pro last season. So bad to worse for the Ravens, who are 1-3 and running out of answers, Devin.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. This defense has struggled, and now you're taking away some of the top guys on defense. Kyle Van Noy is still out as well. So I don't know if this defense plays better anytime soon.
This is the reality, though. And I'm not suggesting that you should not pay attention to shows like this throughout the offseason. But we spend 6 months talking about all the different things that could happen in the upcoming season. And the one unknown that is still generally known is that injuries are going to change everything. Yep. Here we are 4 weeks in. The Ravens, who were one of the elite teams, a shell of what they could be because of injury. Impossible to predict, irresponsible to suggest. But this is the reality. And here we are, the Pittsburgh Steelers sitting pretty atop the AFC North as they enter their bye week with the Guinness that they smuggled back, or at least declared through customs from Ireland. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.